York, you just have a feeling about fashion all the time because it's so much about that. You know, I mean, we lived on 63rd Street. We lived across the street from Halston. Andy Warhol, you know, went to the same butcher shop as us, and Fiorucci was 4 blocks down, you know, and Bloomingdale's was 5 blocks away. So somehow it's there in you.
Although Catherine Betts considers herself a journalist above all else, that deeply ingrained taste for fashion obviously stands her in good stead as fashion news director at Vogue magazine's flagship American edition. We hooked up with Catherine to get a Vogue's eye view of the latest Paris collections.
The average person looks at Vogue as their Bible to tell them what's new and what's hot. And how do you deem, what really becomes newsworthy for the publication?
Well, it's, you know, you're always kind of looking for the next new thing, and I think now more than ever in fashion, you know, everybody's like, what's next, what's next, what's new, what's new? And so you kind of have to think that way, but you also, half of your brain has to be thinking about like what you've already done, the ground you've already covered. If there's a designer, you know, which section of the magazine the designer might fit into. That something just sort of hits you, you know, a trend or an idea, it just sort of clicks and it makes sense, and you're in this kind of system. I mean, Vogue is like a huge machine and it just keeps going, you know, and you just sort of feed stuff into it. We've tried to actually, in the last few seasons, become a lot more critical. And I think that that's, you know, times, probably because of the economy, things got a little more intense and people felt like they had to justify $2,000 sweaters, or, you know what I mean? And so I think the nature of the business sort of became much more critical.
Okay, on to the next show. You didn't even really get much of a chance to say hi to the designer, but I guess that's just the way it is.